Have you ever been to Zion National Park? It's a place of breathtaking beauty, carved by wind and water over millions of years. But since 2019, a strange and unsettling rule has been posted on every single guide board. It's simple, direct, and absolutely chilling. If you see the night guide leading hikers after sunset, do not follow. Why would a national park warn visitors against its own guides? The story behind that sign is one that park rangers don't like to talk about. A story that begins on a warm evening in late spring. The date was May 31st, 2019. The sun was dipping below the horizon, painting the towering sandstone cliffs in shades of orange and purple. An official tour guide, a woman named Elena Rivera, was leading her final group of the day on the world-famous Angel's Landing Trail for the sunset hike. It was a routine trip she had made hundreds of times. But this time was different. Elena never came back. At 8:58 p.m., just as dusk was settling into true darkness, Elena Rivera vanished. Search parties were dispatched immediately. They scoured the treacherous trail, their flashlights cutting through the inky blackness. They didn't find Elena. What they did find, however, sent a shiver down the spine of even the most seasoned rescuers. Lying neatly folded on the chain section, the most notoriously narrow and dangerous part of the trail, was Elena's uniform. It was the standard issue 2019 khaki shirt. Her name tag, Elena Rivera, was still attached. One of the first rangers on the scene reported something impossible. The fabric, he said, was still warm to the touch, as if someone had just taken it off moments before. But there was no sign of Elena, no footprints, no sign of a struggle. It was as if she had simply evaporated into the thin mountain air. The initial investigation went nowhere. The park officially listed Elena Rivera as a missing person, presumed to have fallen from the trail. It was a tragic, but sadly not unheard of, accident in a place like Zion. The case went cold, another file in a cabinet full of park mysteries. Life went on, the seasons changed, and new guides were hired. The story of Elena became a campfire tale, a cautionary story told to new recruits, and for over 6 years, that's all it was. Until December 22nd, 2025. That is when a piece of evidence surfaced that blew the case wide open and turned a sad story into a waking nightmare. The evidence came from a body cam worn by a new guide who we'll call Mark. Mark was filming on the exact same spot where Elena's uniform was found, the Angel's Landing chain section. The timestamp on his footage read 9:02 p.m., almost the same time of night Elena disappeared. In the video, you can see Mark's gloved hands gripping the cold iron chains. The trail ahead is empty, bathed in the pale light of his headlamp. It's quiet, almost unnervingly so. Then, something flickers at the edge of the frame. Mark pans the camera slightly, and that's when you see it. A figure standing just a few yards ahead on the narrow path. The figure is wearing a 2019 park guide uniform, the old khaki shirt. It's leading a group, its arm gesturing forward as if pointing out the way, but there's no one there. The figure is guiding an invisible group of hikers. As Mark zooms in, the most terrifying detail becomes clear. The uniform is filled out. It has shape and form, but the sleeves are hollow. There's no body inside the clothes. It's just an empty uniform, moving and gesturing on its own, a spectral guide leading no one. The footage was sent to a forensics lab for analysis. They didn't just analyze the video, they analyzed the audio, faintly picked up by the sensitive microphone on the body cam. A voice can be heard. It's a calm, professional voice, the kind a tour guide would use. The audio specialists cleaned it up, isolated it, and ran it through their database. They got a The voice belonged to Elena Rivera, taken from her interview file when she was first hired back in 2018. The same voice from the 2019 missing person case, and what she was saying was bone-chilling. On the recording, the disembodied voice of Elena Rivera says, "Everyone, stay close. The trail gets narrow here. Your turn is next. Your turn is next." What did that mean? This discovery triggered a secret, internal park investigation. A report, stamped with the word "classified" in bold red letters, was compiled. It revealed that Mark's experience was not an isolated incident. The entity, which they dubbed the Night Guide, had been documented a staggering 44 times since Elena's disappearance in 2019. The sightings shared unnervingly consistent details. The apparition always appeared in the original 2019 khaki uniform. It always seemed to know the tour schedule for the following day, often seen on trails that were slated for tours hours before the actual guides were even assigned. And most disturbingly, every time a living guide tried to approach it or call out to it, it would simply vanish, fading away into the rocks and shadows. The Park Service had to act. On December 23, 2025, the day after the body cam footage was recovered, a new, mandatory rule was put into effect. The old khaki uniforms were immediately retired. A new uniform was issued. A dark navy blue shirt with a large, highly reflective badge sewn onto the chest. The memo was clear and urgent. Every guy currently employed must wear the 2025 Navy uniform at all times while on duty, and a stark warning was added to the park's safety protocols. If you are on a trail after dark and you see a guide wearing the old khaki uniform, the one without a reflective badge, you have exactly 4 minutes and 58 seconds to get off that trail. The report didn't specify what would happen after that time was up. It only said that after 4 minutes and 58 seconds, the trail starts guiding you. The very next day, Christmas Eve 2025, the new rule was put to the test. A GoPro clip, just 55 seconds long, was recorded by a guide leading a small, authorized night hike through the Narrows, a section of the park where you hike through a river and a gorge. The footage shows 3 official guides in their new Navy uniforms wading through the shallow, dark water. The mood is tense. One of the guides suddenly stops and turns to the person filming. His voice is shaky. He says, "Wait, there's 4 of us now." The camera pans around, sweeping its light across the dark water. First, it shows the first guide, then the second, both in their Navy uniforms. Then it pans to the third guide, and then it keeps panning. Standing silently behind them in the knee-deep water is a 4th figure, a guide in the old 2019 khaki uniform with no reflective badge. In its hand, it holds a vintage 2019 park lantern, the exact model Elena Rivera was issued. The lantern's soft glow isn't lighting the path they are on. It's illuminating a different fork in the canyon, lighting the way for a tour scheduled for the next morning. The situation escalated. The final piece of this puzzle is a radio transmission logged on Christmas Day, December 25th, 2025, at 9:11 p.m. The voice is frantic, breaking with static and panic. It's a guide radioing back to park control. He says, "Control, we have 5 guides on the trail. We only have 4 booked tours. The 5th one, the one in the khaki, it just handed me my 2019 roster." There's a pause, and the guide's breathing is heavy. "Control, my name is already crossed off. That was the last transmission ever received from that guide. He and the 3 others with him were never seen again. So now you know why the sign is there. If you ever find yourself hiking in Zion as the sun goes down, And a friendly guide in an old-fashioned khaki uniform offers to lead you on a special, unscheduled tour. Take a very close look at their chest. If you don't see the shine of a reflective badge, turn around and walk away. Don't run. Don't scream. Just leave. Because if you don't, the trail has just booked your final tour. And if you think that's unsettling, you haven't seen anything yet. Our investigation into the Glacier Ice Walker drops in 48 hours. Subscribe to this channel and turn on all notifications. You don't want to miss it before someone else takes your place in line.